Simple parental guidance may not be enough, guys. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies you won't believe are rated PG.
I wonder where a guy, an everyday Joe like myself, could find a little action.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're ranking PG-rated films with questionable content. In other words, with material that could be deemed not quite appropriate for all audiences.
What is it?
Essence of man.
Essence of man?
Yeah.
Number 10. Airplane.
I've got to go to the airport. You can let yourself out the back door.
The 1980 film Airplane is widely regarded as one of the funniest and most successful satires ever of the continually popular disaster movie genre. The bits are largely irreverent and played for madcap laughs at every turn.
Cream? No, thank you. I take it black. Like my man.
Still, the fact that Airplane was released at the onset of the 1980s meant that there was still a very relaxed reaction to casual nudity, profanity, and drug use, all of which make their mark somewhere during the film's narrative. Is it going to offend anyone? Probably not. But those concerned about what kids could see might want to just catch the one edited for TV instead. Number 9. Ghostbusters.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
If there's one thing that has changed big time in the post-millennium world of filmmaking, it's that we rarely see protagonists smoking. These days, cigarette use is relegated largely to villainous characters, unless the vice is otherwise an integral part of their personality. It was a bit different back here in the 1984 classic, Ghostbusters, as both Dan Aykroyd's Ray Stantz and Ernie Hudson's Winston Zeddemore can often be seen puffing on butts while on the job. This, combined with the film's liberal use of profanity and iconic, creepy scares, make it a film that could have only been made and rated PG during the 1980s.
Ready! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Number 8. Legend.
My heart. My soul. My love.
The 1985 fantasy gem Legend may be an underrated entry from director Ridley Scott's enviable filmography, but it's highly unlikely that anyone has forgotten Tim Curry's epic performance in the film. The Rocky Horror actor is decked out in some of the most impressive makeup ever to create his character known as Darkness, complete with red skin and humongous devil horns.
How like you my gifts? Does the gown not please you?
Generations of 80s kids were practically scared out of their skin by Scott, Curry, and their special effects team, while Legend on the whole possesses a rich and creepy atmosphere unlike any other fantasy film from the same era.
Discerning taste for one so young, Jack.
Number 7. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The Body Snatchers premise has been adapted cinematically from the 1955 novel a number of times over the years, but none quite as successfully as this 1978 flick. Director Philip Kaufman created a film rife with a sort of paranoia and mistrust indicative of the post-Watergate 1970s.
Please, you're an expert in danger. Please, listen to me.
No one can be trusted, and everyone's a suspect, as scenes of horrific human cloning make use of some of the decade's best special effects. It's hard to believe that this classic thriller was rated PG, as the mood of the film would certainly lend itself to an R rating today, or at the very least, a hard PG-13. Number 6. Watership Down.
See? It's not interested.
If you think that a film about cute, fluffy bunnies can be taken at face value, then perhaps you haven't been paying attention thus far on this list. Watership Down scared countless unsuspecting kids when this adaptation of the classic 1972 novel hit screens only 6 years later. The film is rife with socio-political allegory and classic themes of the poetic hero, but it's also chock full of intense, frightening imagery and shocking violence. Watership Down is an amazing film, but it's not for the very young or faint of heart. Instead, it's one that remains studied and remembered, even 40 years after its debut.
You see, the air to the bad runs blocked with dead bodies.
Number 5. Beetlejuice.
But Barbara, honey, it's too late. We have to go through with this.
No, we don't. I mean,
Can't we rebel or something?
Audiences were just getting to know the unique cinematic vision of Tim Burton when he unleashed this late 80s classic on the masses. Beetlejuice possesses all of Burton's quirky visual trademarks and gothic style, and it also comes with some scenes that might be considered inappropriate today. Although PG-13 films are usually allowed one F-bomb, to their credit, the word was usually verboten in the PG world of Beetlejuice, especially this late in the decade.
Nice models!
There's also a wealth of morbid imagery associated with death and suicide, as well as Michael Keaton's charmingly crass performance as the titular bioexorcist. This one won't scar the kids for life, but it probably wouldn't be rated PG today.
Beetlejuice!
You're right.
Number 4. The Bad News Bears.
Es un bandido. I don't know what he's talking about, but I like him. He's got balls.
Profanity is the name of the game when it comes to our next film. It's a slippery slope when a film depicts children indulging in bad behavior, but The Bad News Bears is so hilariously successful in its execution that the scenes just feel totally natural. If you've ever wanted to see a group of foul-mouthed little leaguers let it all out in the baseball diamond, then this is the movie for you.
But I guess I handled it badly, huh?
You handled it like shit.
If you've ever wanted to see kids smoke, drink, and otherwise behave like their coach, Walter Matthau does on screen, then this is the movie for you. If that doesn't appeal to you, then stay as far away from the Bad News Bears as possible.
Why don't we celebrate?
Because you should be damn proud of yourself.
I'll drink to that!
Number 3. Poltergeist. Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist is often mentioned as being a good entry point film for getting young kids into the world of horror. Still, this doesn't mean that this PG Fright Fest wasn't without material that would have probably netted it in the same PG-13 rating as its 2015 remake. The level of inappropriateness ranges from the slightly cringy, how men working on a house leer at teenage Dana Freeling as she returns home from school in a Catholic schoolgirl uniform, to the totally spooky, as terror trees, killer clowns, and real-life skeletons terrorize the characters. Or how about the face-peeling scene? Poltergeist may be a questionable PG, but it's also a stone-cold classic. Number 2. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The next movie on our list is one of 2 films whose content directly led to the implementation of the PG-13 rating in 1984. The reason? Oh, nothing major. Just a guy's still beating heart being ripped out of his chest. Indeed, it was the negative reaction of parents to the action and violence showcased within Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom that pushed the MPAA into establishing a harder rating system for films with similar content. Trivia buffs might also be curious to know that Steven Spielberg had a hand in making both of the films in question, as director of the Indiana Jones sequel and executive producer of Joe Dante's Gremlins. Before we name our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions we won't tell your parents you watched. Number 1. Jaws. It's the film that made millions afraid to get into the water, and kickstarted an international obsession with killer shark movies. It's Steven Spielberg's Jaws, and it's yet another instance of the family-focused filmmaker kicking it to the front lines of inappropriate PG content. Spielberg and crew had tons of problems with the malfunctioning shark, and thus were forced to use ingenuity and restraint with their special effects. This didn't tone down the other bloody and visceral moments in the film, however, which include scenes that have made Jaws one seriously inappropriate PG movie. And for that, we're thankful.
Smile, you son of a...
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.